Thanks to my Ko-fi supporters that make these videos possible. You can also get a deck review on my weekly Tuesday and Sunday streams. It's the best way to support the channel.
What a dumb, ignorant comment. Imagine pretending that Commander was made with tutors in mind. There is a reason why it's a singleton format with 100 cards. If they would want people to use tutors to win every game with a 2-card combo, they wouldn't implement those rules.
This might be an unpopular opinion, but I don't like the abundancy of tutors in some decks. It kind of goes against the spirit of 100-card singleton format. The idea is to build a deck that's consistent no matter which cards you draw that game, and having unique games with the same deck. Overloading on tutors to play the same combo game after game after game just sounds really boring to me.
Hot take. Tutors are a crutch and go against the spirit of a singleton format.
Hello everyone. What was just read are real comments left by real viewers of my YouTube videos and the podcast, what have you. And it's really to illustrate a point if you've not encountered this before. There's a lot of weird gatekeeping when it comes to tutors in casual deck building. I want to touch on some of these arguments I see time and again and point out their flaws, as well as show how tutors can be used interestingly. Now, don't like tutors in your deck? That's cool, that's fine. I too have biases that lead me not to run certain cards because I don't like the play patterns they create. This, however, is not a video, not entirely anyway, that is dedicated to making anyone change their opinion about whether or not running tutors would be fun for their list. I don't know your list. Let's talk then about some arguments that I hear about tutors. Firstly, they're against the spirit of the format. This doesn't really mean anything, I feel. I mean, these folks aren't trying to appeal to the authority of Sheldon Menery, right? Except, like, they're kind of insinuating that. Remember the comment from the cold open? Imagine pretending that Commander was made with tutors in mind. Well, anonymous internet commenter, we don't have to imagine. Sheldon Menery made the format well after the printing of Demonic Tutor. So, I do like to do my research. I was curious what the creator of the format had in mind when it came to tutors. After searching my library, after searching for articles, he, in a write-up for Star City Games, points to the preamble in the Commander philosophy document when musing about the spirit of Commander and what it really means. Let's read this preamble, and what he had to say regarding it. Commander is for fun. It's a socially interactive multiplayer Magic the Gathering format, full of wild interactions and epic plays, specifically designed as an alternative to tournament Magic. As is fitting for a format in which you choose an avatar to lead your forces into battle, Commander focuses on a resonant experience. Each game is a journey players share, relying on a social contract in which each player is considerate of the experience of everyone involved. This promotes player interaction, inter-game variance, a variety of playstyles, and a positive communal atmosphere. At the end of an ideal Commander game, someone will have won, but all participants will have had the opportunity to express themselves through their deck building and gameplay. The positive communal atmosphere is the heart and soul of Commander. The question is how to get there. Bringing a positive attitude is one way. Rule Zero discussions are another. That's the spirit of Commander, lined out in fine print by the creator. Rule Zero and bringing a positive attitude. Now this here is coming from someone who was explicitly anti-tutor for his decks. Sheldon has mentioned throughout multiple articles that tutors aren't something he enjoys playing with, and that's totally fine. He never, though, besmirched others for running a card he wouldn't enjoy running himself, though. Well then, now that we've deflated the whole spirit of the format thing, let's move on to the next argument I hear against tutors oh so often. That sure, it might not be against the spirit of the format or whatever, but it is against the spirit of a 100-card singleton to run tutors. After all, if the format wanted your deck to have consistency, why would it be singleton? I feel like this argument neglects a lot of things. Firstly, Commander is a very consistent format. You have access to the same card every game, the Commander, it's literally in the name of the format, but even turning away from that obvious example, how many 2-mana ramp options are you running in your deck? How many Llanowar Elves are you running in your deck? Card draw spells, removal, board wipes. What the format is lacking in allowing you to run playsets of the same card, it makes up for in similar options and archetypes of cards. Now. Maybe Divinations and Llanowar Elves and 2-mana ramp are the Wizards of the Coast stamp of approval fine options to have consistency with in a singleton format. But like, have you ever considered how fun it is to try and challenge the restrictions of a format? Some see a singleton format as something that is telling them not to tutor, but I feel told the opposite. With a large singleton deck, I am ever curious to figure out a way to overcome that restriction and have a consistent 99 card deck, despite the obstacles in the way of that. We even see this challenge against format rules in formats that aren't singleton as well. Cascade decks of the past running no cards of mana value 2 or less to spin Shardless Agent into Up the Beanstalk, or nowadays with Birthing Ritual. I think more than anything that this creates the resonant experience that was wanted at the format's inception, not the other way around. Well, let's take everything I said thus far as true. Tutors are still a way too good deck building crutch, right? They undermine the creativity of casual deck building, yeah? Well, no, not entirely. Now, listen, before we dive into this, I personally don't run Demonic Tutor. I don't find the card that fun to play since I find it rather devoid of meaningful synergy. To claim that all tutors have the same synergy vacuum as DT though feels like a bit of a losing position though. Hell, even a card similar in power to DT like Vampiric Tutor can set up some incredible synergistic plays in a deck like Nashi, or a deck with Miracles. It is here, if you don't mind me getting a little op-ed here, that I feel that people are getting a little lost in the sauce when it comes to their convictions on this matter of tutors being a crutch. Players taking this stance aren't actually against tutors, I feel. They just crave to see decks that have intention with their use. But what do I mean by intention? Well, the main argument I see against tutors is that you just tutor for a 2-card combo or win, or that tutors are too easy to use. Recall the opening comments of examples of this happening. And while yes, this is a play pattern that can arise with tutors, it doesn't have to be. Not at all. Not every tutor is Demonic Tutor. Most tutors require a lot of effort to be made in the deck building phase of the game. Let me use some examples from my own deck list. With Kellan, my deck is built around melding Brizella. To do this with greater efficiency, I run 5 tutors that can get the Angel Sisters. Let's break down how each of them fit into the list and the actual honest-to-God deck building work that went around making these tutors work for me in a way that seems effortless at the table. The first and best one is Congregation at Dawn. This one stacks 3 creatures on top of my library. This is what led me to choose the commander of my deck, Kellan, Daring Traveler, since he mills a card on attack or with map tokens. This lets me stack the library Bruna Gisela, then draw Bruna for turn, and then attack with Kellan or use a map to mill Gisela, so I don't have to bother casting her, since Bruna can just resurrect her with the cast trigger in order to go for the meld. I would say that informing my choice of commander is a pretty big deck building decision that Tutor made me make, not something that is very crutch-like or lazy at all. Next up is the Sariema and Thalia's Lancers, both of which tutor legends directly, like the Angel Sisters. Now this might be the first moment someone can point and say, aha, lazy tutoring. But is it really when I built a lot of my interaction and advantage around these engines? Lauren of the Third Path for artifact and enchantment removal, 6 for recursion in case my important plays gets answered, Eladamri for advantage, all cards that gain a new context with these tutors. Not to mention my favorite girl Felia being in the 99 to turn these tutors into card advantage engines. Now, I don't go for the Brizella every time like the comments suggest I would with these tutors. I often reach for Lauren if the opponent's about to untap with a Bolsa Citadel, or Eladamri if I don't feel like the coast is clear enough to meld the Angel Sisters, because games of Commander are dynamic, where your opponents are constantly threatening to disrupt you, or make frightening plays of their own that need disruption. Stack all of that into the fact that Thalia's Lancers fits healthily into the themes the deck has of humans with Heronblade Elite and Bruna's Cast Trigger, and interesting ways of getting a leg up in combat being a first striker with the ability to tutor for Kudo. That means it can block anything favorably, and it means that these cards have a lot of deck building going on around them that make them have more interesting contexts. Lastly are some iconic green creature tutors, Analyze the Pollen and Fierce Empath. Now to me, Analyze the Pollen is just a land drop most games, but the games where it has a capability to be something more are super interesting. I'll sack Selfless Spirit for no reason. I'll mill cards I would normally like to draw with Kellan. I'll send creatures into unfavorable combats, or not command zone Kellan when he dies. If these tutors were really free rolls like people seem to mention, why do I find it not worthwhile to run Traverse the Uvenwald, a very similar card? Is there perhaps more at play here than people care to admit? that most tutors require a careful amount of consideration during deck building and during gameplay. As far as Fierce Empath goes, it can only really tutor 2 cards in this deck, Elesh Norn and Bruna. The reason I run it, however, regardless of this fact that it is very narrow, is because it gives a totally separate tutor in the deck, Elvish Harbinger, a new context. Normally with the Harbinger, I grab Eladamri because goddamn he's fun with Kellan's top deck manipulation potential. But now with the Fierce Empath, Elesh Norn and Bruna, my 2 most important cards in the deck, become honorary elves that the Harbinger can grab. I can mention more decks, like how in Farika, my abundance of green creature tutors made me favor Harvester of Misery and Massacre Girl over options like Toxic Deluge, or how I built my Judith deck to only have creatures with mana value 4 or less, so that Lively Dirge can act as a black-green Sun Zenith, or how in Carmella I run Wishclaw Talisman to grab War Spheres in order to control your turn and hand myself back the Wishclaw Talisman, on top of how nicely Wishclaw combos with the bargain card Rowan's Grim Search, and all the artifact removal I run that's normally for destroying my own cursed recording. I feel though you get my point. Tutors have the capacity to be boring, 100%, but so does any other card when it's not used with intention. I rag on Phyrexian Arena all the time, yes, because the card is offensively mediocre. That's my main talking point about it, but it's only offensively mediocre because the card is often not used to its full potential. Where Phyrexian Arena gets interesting is in those extra upkeep decks with Shadow of the Second Sun, and Paradox Haze, and Obeka Splitter of Seconds. The same is true with tutors in reverse. They're too strong when not used with intention instead of too weak. A shared summons for a 2-card creature combo win is certainly not brimming with personality, but being used to set up something like a Horobi Death's Wail or Willbreaker alongside a Tetsamok is beyond hilarious. Once again, your issue, I feel, isn't with tutors in the Commander format, it's with the intent in which they are being used. I feel that more than anything, this highlights how much engagement tutors can create, as well as create an unparalleled resonant experience when playing your deck that Sheldon laid out in his original philosophy document. Most tutors turn into build your own charms that lead you away from staples and into strange card choices that work with your tutor suite. They celebrate the weird singleton nature of the format and don't detract from it. Let me know what you think about tutors down in the comments below, and until next time, bye. There is one legitimate reason to hate tutors in my opinion, and that's if you hate shuffling. I mean, I love shuffling, so I don't understand that, but I can sympathize with your plight with decks that are literally twice as big as normal.